We're all good? Welcome, everyone, to Parks Recreation meeting, June 6, 2025, 12 noon at City Hall. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Any of the conflicts of interest?
Nope.
See none? Councillor Drong, you okay?
No. Yeah, no.
And I must say, we have Councillor Drong on the phone, so just anyone looking in. Approval of the agenda. Well, one second.
I believe Councillor Duran might have one conflict there, the tender award.
For Frank McCollum.
J. Frank McCollum.
J. Frank McCauley.
The B one there, Councillor Drong? Would you be in conflict with that?
I didn't see that, but I may.
Sorry.
Oh, no, we're okay, Bob.
Sorry, you're not in conflict. Sorry, Bob.
No, thank you. I'm in conflict a lot, but I didn't see anything there.
Yeah, we're in
Thank
conflict
you.
with you too, also. Yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
Mayor
keep it
and
going.
them,
Ah, good one.
I mean, the manager and all them are like they're very excited here, Bobby, so they jumped ahead. Okay,
Thank you.
approval of the agenda. We got,
Chair, just under new business, do I raise it under new business? A couple of issues, matters?
I would say,
Okay.
yes.
It's just to get information? That's
Yes,
it?
not a
That's it.
problem.
Yeah.
Okay, adoption of the minutes, May 12th, 2025.
Moved.
Moved by your worship,
Second.
second by Councillor Drong. Was there
Sure.
any business arising from those minutes? We see none. That's
None.
surprise, your worship, okay. Okay, let's go right to reports. Let's go with 6A, please. Would that be Christopher? Okay, Christopher, you don't mind?
Thank you, Chair. So the first report is a request that we have from the Canadian National Old Timers Baseball Federation Championship. This is an national championship event that has happened in Victoria Park on a number of occasions, and they are requesting to have a beverage tent, beer tent in Victoria Park for the duration of their championship event, which is taking place July 31st to August 4th, 2025, so this summer. This is an event that has happened, as I mentioned before, and also the request for a beverage tent, alcohol beverage tent, has been granted as well for the location in Victoria Park. So as per our alcohol in the park policy, as well as the Victoria Park and Promenade bylaw, this request does have to come to committee for recommendation and then forwarded to council for their consideration and approval. I have been in contact directly with the organizers of the event. They are aware of what is expected. They have a business, Red Island Hospitality Group, who will be taking the lead on the beverage tent, and there are different rules that are in place for the groups. They need to have security on site. The liquor license has to be approved by the province as well as signed off by the city, as well as having the area fenced off so that only those of age are able to access the facility.
Thank you for that, Christopher. Any questions in that? Councillor Drong?
No, this is pretty routine. We've done it before and no problem, so I can move it whenever you want.
Yeah.
Chair?
Second.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Drong, second by your worship to move on to council.
And Mr. Chair.
Oh,
just
sorry, go ahead.
quickly. I know that Christopher has explained this before, but under the Victoria Park Act, sale of goods, product and so forth, I know it happens at Kiwanis. This is all, I know, within the framework, correct? Under the act or under a bylaw, both?
Yeah, so as long as it receives approval from the committee and then council, and if it's a reoccurring event where there's something selling, then it's actually the manager can actually make the approval. But since this event hasn't been held for a little while,
Couple of years.
but it also has the alcohol in the park.
Yeah.
So that is the one why we bring it to committee and to council. So
Thank
if they weren't serving alcohol, it very likely wouldn't be coming to you because it'd just be in a tournament.
Thank you.
And we had no issues in the past with this group at all. Like, I remember that too, everything went very smooth. Okay,
Everything went perfect, yeah.
yeah, thank you. Better turn on the mic. Let's go with B, award of the tender for J. Frank McCauley Park Pathway Phase 2. Would that be our manager, Frank Quinn? Frank?
All right, thank you, Chair Ramsey. So we recently went out to tender for the J. Frank McCauley Trail upgrades, Phase 2. We received 4 bids. I don't know if you recall from last year when we brought it through with a change order, and then we decided that it didn't receive approval. So we went out this spring recently here, and we received 4 bids, and we received very competitive bids, and in particular, one bid that we're awarding it to, Burton McKay Backhoe Services Limited, for $64,854.30, which you can look at the bids and see the other amounts. It's about half the size or half the value of the next closest bid. So we received an extremely competitive bid, and which is good for us. So we're looking to get this awarded as soon as possible, and it would be, the work would start. Where's the start date there, Christopher? Yeah, so it's going to be starting over, once we get it awarded, it'll be starting here the middle of June, and will be completed, I believe they put that it'll be completed by the end of July. So if there's any further questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
I'll move it.
Oh, Councilor Drong, any
Second.
questions?
No, seconded. Great,
Your
great
worship.
job.
Just, like, there's $100,000 difference, wasn't there,
From
with the
the,
bids
from the
that I was
second-
reading?
From the second bid.
Like, that's a big jump, or
Yeah,
big difference.
from the second bid was 136 and change, the next one was 157, and the next one was 166, so this is 65. The only way we can explain, we figured, the price we had estimated it was going to be around 140 to 170. But the company that put the bid in, they've adhered to all the rules of the tender, and they put in an extremely good bid, so.
Excellent.
So,
And it has been reviewed by staff and CBCL,
Yeah.
so it meets
No,
all the
that's
requirements.
fantastic, really.
so,
Mayor?
Mr. Chair, just through the chair to our manager or Christopher, it says it adheres or it is compliant with the city's procurement policy. So in that policy, we don't have evaluation or a matrix to evaluate experience, equipment. And I know Burt McKay, I'm just trying to cover the bases. All those boxes were checked off.
Yeah, so it's a tender, so the main deciding factor is the actual price.
Was the price.
And they actually adhere to all the requirements within the tender document. So they have to check off that, yes, they have the equipment to do the work, they have this, like all the other areas stuff. So they meet all the requirements of the tender. And like you said, it just happens to be a really, really competitive bid, which is good for the city.
And again, just through the chair to Frank or Christopher, I believe, or I should know, Burt McKay has done recreational work for the city in the past, and you've been
They have.
pleased, and their workmanship, their quality of work meets
Yeah,
your
we have
standards.
there's been no issues with them. And it's been a few years since they've done work for our department, but yeah, there's been no concerns.
Excellent. Okay, a move by Councilor Drong, a second by your worship to move on to council. 2-0, thank you. C, Towers Road, a neighborhood park concept plan. Is this just for information? Or is this gonna be? Who has that one? Is that the manager, Frank? Okay, thank you.
Having technical issues here once we get it figured out.
Are Are we able to put the image, DL, up on the screens? No? Okay, that's all right.
No, it's okay.
So we are going to do in a moment here. Once I review the report, then we'll put the image up on the screen.
Okay.
So we recently went out and through the process of actually creating a concept plan for Towers Road Park. And as you're quite aware, we've had this land for a while. I believe our interim CAO was involved originally back in 2010. So that's when we obtained this piece of property. This is an interior park property, which has been created some challenges. The development had to happen all around it. Having said that, this current piece of property has no street frontage. The only frontage is onto the Confederation Trail. Additionally, in 2015, the city was made aware that there was a sanitary sewer line from Royalty Crossing Mall that runs through the actual parkland. So that was something that nobody knew until they were putting the apartment building there, and then the apartment building had to be the line had to be readjusted to go around the apartment building. So the reason why this is only coming now to be developed because we were waiting till all the residential properties, for the majority of them, were constructed, and right now the McQuaid property up front, or the big apartment building, has been developed out in the front. We've been in discussion with the province to obtain approval to gain formal access to the trail, which we have been able to receive. We'll be actually installing a culvert, which will be placed parallel to Confederation Trail to allow access from the Confederation Trail into this park property. The survey plan was sent to residents of the new community area in 2025. This preliminary concept plan was created. We have talked to the neighboring properties to see if we could work out, other types of arrangements where we could cross onto their property, but because it's a private street, it's a private road driveway, it wasn't possible. So we retained input once we had an initial survey done, our initial plan. We posted on the website to receive additional feedback. There was no concerns or negative feedback, and therefore we're presenting this final concept plan for committee's support, and then we're going to move it on to council as well. And it's accepted as a guiding document. We want council to be aware that when you're approving a plan, that there is going to be capital dollars associated with it in the future. So we don't want council to be surprised. So Crystal will bring up that concept right now.
Dale needs to bring it up.
Or Dale?
To bring up this one.
Dale, can you bring up this, or?
Just to my computer.
Why we're doing that, Frank, a financial says the budget amount is 11,000, has been allocated. So that's just for your grading, your seeding, just to get the land
That's
ready?
just for actually putting the culvert in. We're going to be putting the access road in. We can't get to the property right now because of
Okay.
it's landlocked, so we're going to
Yeah.
access off the Confederation Trail. We're going to cut the existing old grass there to see what it's like. It will need some grading, and we'll be getting all that done this year just to get the property looking better than
Do we
next
have to
year.
approve the 11,000, your worship? I thought it was under 25,000 or that was
So,
just
so
operational.
the 11,000 is all we have budgeted, so it is approved under the capital budget.
Okay,
So you guys don't have to approve that, we're just
Right.
saying that's what we have allocated for this year, just to the initial phase. And I'll get Christopher to show the actual document here. So we'll scoot right down to option 1 and option 2. So option 1, you will see, it shows it coming off the Confederation Trail. We can get that on there, comes off the Confederation Trail on the bottom, so that's going to be the main access point for our vehicles and stuff to get in to do maintenance and whatnot, but that will also be the main access point from people coming from the Confederation Trail into this park area. This one is showing that it's, we're making this more of a natural area, kind of park with some natural features. We have a mowed area in the middle with lots of trees. We're not putting a playground in this park. It's more of a passive park that people can go in, sit. We're looking at doing, what did Nancy refer to it as? No, I can't see on the. There'll be like an area where there's some natural area where you can actually, you'll have some, bees, butterflies, those kind of things, pollinator. There, I couldn't think of the word pollinator garden kind of thing. Like I knew if I started saying it, somebody come up with it. So this is the one here. So we're looking at this, depending on the budget, this could be the option one. Our next option would be on the next page here. You'll see it actually shows the pathway going all up around the park area. So people could come in and do a nice little walk around the area. They could sit, and enjoy nature. It's right next to Confederation Trail. So we sort of see this as actually a spot where people rest area as well. That if people are going on the Confederation Trail, they can stop in and relax and enjoy the park area. It is adjacent to the apartment building up at the top, and that people that live in there can walk into the park area, but we're not developing a defined trail because it's actually going on a private property. So that's sort of the overall. Was very well received. We received a fair bit of input online. I believe we had a resident meeting there that had a good turnout as well. So, any questions? I'll do my best to answer them.
Excellent. So you said there's no playground gear going in there, and it's just going to be a park where you can go in and relax and.
It's more of a
I mean, watch
passive
the
park.
butterflies, it's
Yeah,
just-
passive park, natural area, treed area. Right now, it's a complete area with no trees. At one time, it did have some
Okay.
trees, so we're looking to make it more of a treed area kind of thing. It's 1.25 acres, so it's not a large park area. There is other property that are developments happening further up the Confederation Trail that we are looking at installing a playground area.
Okay, excellent. Any questions, Councillor Drong?
No, I'm good, Kevin, thank you.
Oh, did you see the map on your computer, right?
Yes, I have the agenda and everything there. Yeah,
Okay,
looks
thank
nice.
you. Your worship, you're good?
Yeah. Frank, when did we have the resident meeting? Was it back 210, 215? Was our CAO still there? The reason I ask,
This one, I might have misspoke. I just got to. Yeah, so this one, I don't believe we did a resident meeting. We did the town hall, so we've been finding a lot of times that that's obtaining a lot more input. We send out surveys to all the residents, so we received a number of prompts back. We indicate to the survey, to the participants, and let them know that it's on the city's website. They can go in and viewing. This area was a unique area because of if you do the planning area, it wasn't capturing all the people we wanted to capture, so it allowed for a broader input and broader feedback from the community.
yeah. The reason I ask, Frank, because this would be very much for the residents, Towers Road South. I don't know if it would go into Ward 6, that's the cross Mount Everett Road, possibly. So you're using the Royalty Crossing parking lot. So have we spoken to, like,
No.
that connector that we're using, it lines up with the crossing the trail, crossing into the parking lot. It says Royalty Crossing parking. It goes right, are we going into that?
No, so right there is an existing pathway there right now off the Confederation Trail. It's sort of an informal, it's not a formal one. We're not actually using that. We don't anticipate this being used by sort of people coming and driving there and using it. This would be people walking on the Confederation Trail. That's one demographic. The other would be all the properties that were developed to the top, the McQuaid properties. All those units in the apartment building. So those are the ones we anticipate to use in this park.
Do you have some examples of other parks like that in Charlottetown, where it's just for the neighborhood instead of being available and open to all residents? Do you have an?
All residents that come and use this, but we're saying the majority of the users will be people that use Confederation Trail, which is all city residents using Confederation Trail. So we anticipate those trail users, and then of course the people in that area that are going to come down to this park to use it in that McQuaid property, all those properties that were developed there.
But if Lori and I wanted to go out for a picnic there by the Confederation Trail, instead of walking the trail, we're gonna drive out. Do we park in the parking lot of Royalty Crossing, or do we, there's no, you're landlocked, as you said.
You're landlocked. So that's it's a public. It's it's a mall parking lot. It's, people do right now, if you go out there, you'll see people will park on the, in the parking lot and walk up the Confederation Trail. I see it all the time,
Okay,
so.
just want to clarify
Yeah,
that because.
so that was part of the concern why we didn't actually access in the private roadway in to the McQuaid, the apartment building there. There was concerns with that if you actually allowed people to start coming in that way, they're going to be parking on that private driveway and create issues there. So it is a very challenging property. We don't normally accept property. The development changed so many times throughout the process that now have a piece of land. We hope in the future that we'll be getting land to the side of it, to Jason, that we can actually have frontage on that side. That would be our intention.
So all the proposed development north of Towers Road, you got APM, Floridish Development, Ryan Pino, they'll have access to that, but are you looking at more park development in that area too?
We're looking at more parkland, yeah. There's going to be a 10% allocation along there, and we've had some preliminary plans right now. Some of those developments are further along than the others, so yeah, there is preliminary plans that'll be brought to committee in the near
And
future.
will it be similar to this, a passive park just for that area, or? will it-
No, they're going to be more active, because the development will be different. They're a
Yes,
higher
it'll
density
be
development.
Multi-families and so
Yeah,
forth.
so it all depends on sort of the development. This one here being the uniqueness that it didn't have the frontage and whatnot, we wanted to make it a more passive park, and the fact that it's right next to Confederation Trail,
Yeah.
it can be seen
Couldn't
as
be
a nice
better.
area to stop and,
Thank you.
and make more naturalized area. Yeah.
Okay, so do we move that on to council? Yes. Do I have a mover and a shaker on that one?
Sure.
Moved by the mayor, seconded by Councillor Drown. Thank you very much. Let's go to D, Buckets and Border Basketball, Inc., a donation agreement and MOU with the city. Who is that? That would be Christopher Drummond. Christopher?
We'll do a joint one on this one. So this Buckets and Borders Basketball Inc., we met with them last summer, was it? Yeah, last summer. So they came in and did a presentation to us, and a very interesting group that they work with communities to actually go into a community and renovate and upgrade either an existing basketball court or even potentially build a new one. So we work with Basketball PEI and this Buckets and Borders group. They come in and presented to the committee, and the sort of the process that they use as well is they will come in and actually lead the whole project. They will also bring some money to the table. They'll also do a community event, and they'll make it more than just a basketball court. They actually involve some artwork into it, and they make it feel that the community is more involved and that the actual venue is more visually appealing. So we've been working with this group, and they have put forward a donation agreement and a memorandum of understanding that we would sign, and we would give the money we have budgeted, which is $120,000, I believe, $130,000. So we would contribute that money to them. They would oversee the whole project. They're going to raise an additional $55,000, which they already have, I think, pretty near all in place. And then what they'll do is actually lead the whole project from start to finish. They will get the contractors and everyone, and they're the experts in designing a court, an official size court. And they have some contacts that can, they can get contributions from other groups that we might not be able to. So the project itself, the scope of the project, there's asphalt repair required, and then they'll be putting on a finish grade lift. They'll also do the application of the acrylic resurfacer, just like you would do at a tennis court. They're going to have a full court mural installed. They're also going to look after the fence repairs, including adding an entrance and removing one of the hockey nets. They're going to replace any damaged sections of mesh and poles around the fence. They'll also be putting the regulation basketball court lines on, and they'll be installing the new basketball standards, which will meet the official requirements. So we'll be working with them and to ensure, that all the steps are being met over the time frame. And then at the end, when the project's finished, they will hold an official event to sort of celebrate the opening of the new courts, tell the story how we started and where they finished and celebrate will include the scope of work within this agreement, so.
Yes, it's fantastic. Was there tennis? They never played tennis out there, Frank. Did they one time or?
There is a tennis court there. It's a multi-purpose court, but it hasn't been used by
No,
the tennis
right.
very much. And the court itself is a perfect size for an official-size basketball court. And that's one of the areas we've been finding we've been having the deficiencies. When you have multi-use courts, then you have conflicts. And we don't have a really good basketball court, so this will define a really good basketball court. It'll become a hub for youth in the area, but young adults, even an old guy like myself who still plays basketball, will drop by and, shoot a few hoops kind of thing. So, and it's going to also allow, we've been working closely with Basketball PEI, it's going to allow them to actually develop their youth programming. They have a lot of programming that they need, don't necessarily always have access to schools. So this will actually help them as well.
And one more thing, Frank, we will not be installing lights so that, like, the neighbors out there won't be saying they're bouncing the ball 11 o'clock at night or anything along that line.
So there are some park lights in the park, just for safety reasons. There will be, like any park, there will be a, what do you call it, curfew time that you can actually use it to. So right now it's to 11, but if there was an issue, we might adjust it and say, it has to be done by a time earlier. But we will have operational, just like we do with the pickleball courts and tennis courts.
Excellent. Any other questions on that, Your Worship, or?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, surprise. Okay, go ahead.
I just saw this last year. It was in landscape architecture in Canada. They got an example of one. I think this is going to be a game changer for Charlottetown.
Yes.
Now, it's going out at J. Frank Macaulay Park. Of course, there will be issues about kids playing basketball. I know that when we opened the Joe Giz Park with the basketball court, there were issues about too much noise and so forth. But, with no lighting, it'll only be into the early evenings or late evenings in the summer. And Frank, there's a potential here for other courts, like Joe Giz Park, like Simmons, like we do have Colonel Gray, but that basketball court is, I think it was built by the school and it's not a regulation size, but I think we could look at something on the Simmons arena or the Simmons field for a venue like this. It's going to be a big motivator for the basketball community. And as you said, J. Frank Macaulay, the tennis court that's there now is a quote-unquote regulation size basketball court. So, look, I think this is going to be great for the city. And Frank, I might have missed it. I'm just looking for the opening. When do they start? I've been going through the report. Start date for this?
Yeah, so what we have to wait, so what we need committee's approval here is to enter the donation agreement in the MOU. So once it's approved by council, then they're going to be getting back to us when they're going to be starting, but it will be starting this summer, and they're hoping that they're going to be hopefully be down here in August, because this Buckets and Borders group, they come down and actually do the painting of the acrylic surface and the mural and all that aspect of it. And then in September, early September, hopefully around when school opens, there'll be an official event. So this group has been in existence for 2015, and they've been around the country. They've done a lot at West.
Yeah.
They've done, I believe,
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia did one here recently, so they're moving east. This is sort of the step of getting one official size court. We do have a couple other locations that are very close to official size. We've actually been making some upgrades to our basketball pads. So this will complement that we'll have actually a system of, our sort of top line court, our more middle of the road, maybe not official size court. We'll also have, our half court pads that we've been working on as well, because that's popular now as 3-on-3, and you need a different size for that. Then you'll have, your recreational type courts that'd be, in your community where someone would be shooting basketball. So last year we did a lot of research and assessment of where we were at. We had Jeff Perry on here last year with us, and he's a basketball guru, president of Basketball PEI, or Charlottetown Basketball. So he did a lot of work for us, checking into our current conditions. And this will be sort of that next step. We'll have our top court and then be working from there. So it's excellent arrangement to get this value. This would cost us, the city, a lot more if we were doing this ourselves.
Yes, that's right.
So, Mr. Chair, when we pass it here today, this will be in the package for Tuesday's meeting, correct? Okay. Straight ahead.
Councillor Drong. Bob, do you have any
No.
questions on this project?
Trying to find my button here. Yeah, no, I think it's great. Thank you.
Yes, it is. Like
No
anything we
concerns
get,
at all.
yeah, like anytime we get everybody outside and active, I think it's a great move. Okay, I need a motion to move this on. Moved by your worship,
Sure.
second by Councillor Drong. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, let's go to E, Dragon Boat Festival. Request for the use Victoria Park. That would be, I believe, the manager Frank or assistant manager Christopher. They're both grabbing the mic, so whoever wants it.
All right, so this was a somewhat last-minute request that came to us, so we had to whip this together pretty quickly. You probably heard an announcement that their Dragon Boat Festival is going to be back in Charlottetown. And it was sort of a slight, I guess, maybe they were so excited they didn't realize that they had to have permission to use the location. So this is, yeah, so, yeah. So this informed council of requests to use Victoria Park to host the Dragon Boat Festival. And the council, as per the Victoria Park Promenade and bylaw, provides approval, next to provide in there, provides approval to organizers of the Dragon Boat Festival to host an event in Victoria Park on August 9th, 2025. And as a pilot project, this event will be permitted to use the Victoria Park floating dock as a space to load and unload the Dragon Boat teams. And that is understood that the Dragon Boat Festival organizer committee, that all activities within the park is governed by the Victoria Park and Promenade bylaw, and as such will be monitored by the Parks and Recreation Department manager and, of course, my staff. How do you move this up and down? Sorry, it's right on the screen.
How many teams, Frank? Approximately?
My understanding is there's 20 teams.
Okay, oh, yes, there it is there, I'm sorry. I was just scrolling through, thank you.
So the initial request came into the event management and tourism officer, received it in May, and then it was forwarded, this request was forwarded to our department, and then it was sent to myself since it required approval from the PLA Committee and Council. A site meeting was held May 26 with members of the organizing committee and staff from Parks and Recreation and the Economic, Tourism, and Culture Department to discuss logistics. A similar event took place in 2001 and 2003, and maybe our interim CAO might recall that event. So, and I was involved as well. I wasn't beating the drum. I was actually doing the rowing. So
Taskmaster was back then too, wasn't she? Bro.
So this event did occur back then. And it was very successful at the time. Anyone that was around. So we luckily had a couple pictures of the event that actually showed the layout because I was trying to look back in our memory bank 25 years ago. Don't always recall all the details. So the event you'll see on the site map shows that they will be setting up the. See the layout here. They'll be setting up all the teams out in the front field next to the Kiwanis Dairy Bar. That's where all the tents are going to be, where teams will set up and go from. They'll walk down the AT pathway, and then they'll go on to the launch to the dock area, and that's where they're going to be loading and starting from. They go right in front of where the cannons are. It's the best viewing area. The water is deep enough, but not too deep, so it's a good level, and then they'll return and then go back and undock, and then the other ones will go back on as well. So it allows good space when you're spacing the actual spectators and whatnot and the teams, and that's the way it worked the last time, that it kept a separation. The last time we didn't actually have a nice floating dock in, I recall there was steps that went up over top of the rocks, went down the rocks, and the floating dock was literally a very rocky floating dock. It was more of a challenge to get into. It was more of a challenge to walk down the walkway of the dock than it was to actually do the dragon boat race. So people will sit up on the hill there. It's a natural viewing area next to the cannons, and then also people will also be able to sit all along there. We'll be encouraging people. We'll have some bleachers and spectator seating, but we'll also encourage people to bring their own lawn chairs and whatnot. There is a possible going to be request for food vendors, and we will be looking at that. And they'll be set up behind in the open field where we have the existing water hookup and electrical hookup.
And the food vendors will be to celebrate.
Yes, and the food vendors. How do you say Christopher there? Sorry. I like Christopher.
I was just going to add to the point that when they had asked about the food vendors, we had mentioned about not being in competition with the Kiwanis Dairy Bar that's there. And their idea for the food vendors would be trucks that would have food to offer for the Filipino and to celebrate that culture as the whole Dragon Boat Festival. So they won't be selling ice cream, things like that. It'll be unique to that Filipino culture. So adds to the actual atmosphere of the event.
Excellent. And I'm going to take a page out of your worship's book here. Like, I'm going to mention a family member. My son Ryan was in the one in 2003 from Mark's Work Warehouse, Ray Ellis and them. And the place is packed down there that when they were having it. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, my brother's not Richard Brown, but at the same time, I just want to get that out there, as you always. I think it's a great idea. Any questions? I do.
And just one additional comment, they are actually, so this is a fundraising event. This is a fundraising event, so I'm trying to remember what the group was exactly, but it is a fundraising event that they're doing to raise money for a community organization.
So Frank, I was on council back in 2001, 2003, and I was chair. And we were part of this with Stewie McFadgen. And E.B. Brown's, Councillor Dron, I want you to listen to this. E.B. Brown's, I think, provided free service for the cranes to put the boats in. Yes, service is kind. But you know
That's
what, Frank?
impressive.
It's a great idea. But if you know anything about rowing, which I don't, but I know during the Canada Games 2009, for the rowing competition, you don't do rowing in harbors. They're in lakes. And that was one of the drawbacks of the Victoria Park. And look, you guys can't do anything about it, but it's an issue. And you probably, our CAO would know that that open water, not in a lake, but in a bay area, can cause or pose some issues. So I think that the organizers understand it, because just as a little bit of historical information, in 2002, it went down to Georgetown. They thought they had a better venue site, but the water got rough there and they had to cancel the 2 or 3 races. That's the only drawback, but it is a wonderful event. And back in 2001, as the CAO would remember, the Filipino community was pretty small then at that point. Right now, there's about approximately 5,000 Filipinos that live in Prince Edward Island, and they're very excited by this whole event. So am I. It's just, we have to be cognizant that there will be issues with weather and the tide, and the tide is another issue. Lakes don't rise and fall like bays, but I think in this area, Frank, if you remember, great viewing area, lots of people come out. We had both lanes cut off. The Kiwanis Club Dairy Bar did very well. So I'm a big supporter of it.
Okay. And thank you, Your Worship. So yes, and the organization they're raising money for is Make-A-Wish Foundation, so that's who they're raising the money for. We have actually discussed all those concerns you mentioned, and that's the reason why it's actually, they were looking to go at a slightly different location, so it is being moved in closer to the shore. They've
noticed
also been researching the tide levels, and the tide is going to be high at that time.
So you have a window.
They have a window, so that's where they're trying to schedule their event around. So I don't know if all the official times have been announced because they're working on that. There's also going to be, I don't know if you recall the last time that there was a training opportunity. So there will be the individuals who actually, the teams that join the teams, they will have an opportunity to practice prior to this.
Oh, good.
So because rowing is in a dragon boat is slightly different than rowing in a canoe or a kayak.
No.
So yeah, so those have they're very organized. They've actually been talking to other groups that have organized this event and sort of have really developed a good sort of understanding of what's involved with it. And like you said, the biggest thing was the location. And we know it's in an open water, but we've sort of brought it into as far into the actual area where it is
I see
calmer.
that. Yeah. No, it's great.
Excellent.
Will the city have a team, Mr. Chair?
What's that, your worship?
Will the city have a team in the Dragon Boat
Well,
race?
it just depends how we
Maybe
feel
get the
that day.
CAO to be the drum beater?
So would I.
Okay.
Well,
Couns-
we'll work on that, your
Councillor
worship.
Drawn, I'm sure, is in on it too.
Any money in the mayor's office to put a boat in or build a
There's
boat?
money everywhere.
Okay, thank
Just go
you.
to the miscellaneous account.
I mean, Councillor Drown, do you have any questions?
He said, no, God, no.
So we need a motion, to move this on. Moved by your worship, second by Councillor Drown. Okay. Updates, capital projects. Manager Frank. Please.
All right, so thank you, Chair Ramsey. You're going to bring this, okay, Christopher's going to bring this up on the screen. I'm not quite finished with it yet. As I started going through the process, we've moved a lot of things along, and so I'm just going to, the updated one will be in your package later today, but just wanted to sort of do a quick high fly, and I'm not going to touch on every single one because everyone will be able to read it at a later date. Cody Banks Arena, just to let you know that they've done some board reinforcement there. The boards were getting, they thought potentially was going to have to replace boards completely, but they were able to do some reinforcement to secure them. There's other projects right now being confirmed. The one I want to touch on Simmons here, Sports Center replacement. I know everyone says, oh, isn't that project already done? It is pretty well 100% complete, but there's a few little things we're finishing up. And just finished the commissioning for the pool, just happened here this week, actually. The health inspector report, they are just completed that this morning, so which is good. So I believe we are good to go on that front. So now we're working on the final prep to have the pool open by June 22nd. We're looking at having an official opening event. It'll be at 1 p.m. and what it'll be a smaller grand open event with a free swim. So we're trying to open the pool a little earlier. We were trying to do it on a Saturday, but there was some people weren't available. So we're going to do it on a Sunday. Next week, there's still school in, but we're looking at opening the pool in the evenings for a few hours each evening. One of our challenges is that because school is still in, we have limited lifeguards. So that's where that project is at. So it's moving along. Like pretty well finished, and the pool, anyone that, once you go into it, it looks amazing. We've got some new pool deck tables and some benches, and we're not bringing in, and even a nice new garbage can that's making it look nice and fresh and new, because it is. Just with regards to the community building, it's completed. There's only one small item that we're looking at replacing, and it's hallway doors going into the ice surface. They've arrived, and they're going to be installed very soon. There was a bit of an issue with the swinging doors that you couldn't, there were solid doors, and they swung both ways, and that if you were on the opposite side, you could have potentially been hit, pushing and same the other way. So we are putting doors in that will only swing open one way, and they'll have a glass opening. And then the other, just the last, the rink engineering specialty services, that is completed. The only thing that's left they're doing is just doing some functional testing is well underway, and there's just a bit of minor work to be addressed as deficiencies. This needs to be turned, that needs to be adjusted. So, but it is pretty well 100% done. The only other small things that we're working on here right now, if you could ask the question, the landscaping where the laydown area is underway and should be completed by the middle of June. We are working on installing a post and chain fence along the service driveway, because people can drive right now into the sports field and in the front of Simmons. And we're also looking at installing one along the parking lot out front. We've had issues with people driving in the parking lot, realized they should have entered the other driveway, and then driving right across the open space. So we're trying to keep that, because that area will potentially be an overflow green space area that could be used for a small sports field or something like that. The front entrance improvements, thanks to his worship, we were able to get some new signage put at the front that has welcome, bienvenue, and gelati. I don't know if I said that right, gelati. So they've been installed at the front entrance. They look very good. It's sort of a nice welcoming feel. And then we're just going to be making some minor improvements out front, just sort of to the front right now. When you walk in, the two big piers, we're just trying to make them look a little more visually appealing, and also sort of making you could potentially be walking, if you were, a certain height, you might actually hit the beam with your head. So we're just trying to design something that looks purposely done. So not spending a lot of money, but going to be looking at just improving that. And just the other thing here is our electric ice resurfacer arrived. Yay. Didn't arrive here till May 2025. And the ice leveler was installed as well. So it's at Simmons right now, and we'll be testing her in August when we put the ice back in. And then just another thing that we'll be working on is sidewalk and the AT pathways around there. We're making a couple accessible improvements just to the existing sidewalk. Public Works is going to be installing a new sidewalk along Northwood Road to connect Queen Charlotte School to the Simmons driveway, so that you can access, and you'll just be able to walk in through the parking lot. And then we are looking at a replacement and realignment of the AT pathways within the Simmons Sport Complex. But that will take some time because it's dependent on the turf field project as well. So it won't happen till we have to sort of see where that's situated in, and then timeline on when we can do it.
Frank, before you move on from Simmons, maybe for our next meeting, can you sort of look into the Wi-Fi situation? Is there any way we can improve that? Because what I'm hearing is that you have no Wi-Fi in there because of the green building or the building of it. And then the other thing I get stopped an awful lot about, like, there's no place for people to get a canteen or something along that line. I know it's green and all that stuff, but I think we shot over the runway in that one, because there's people looking for even a coffee or something like that. Like, if we can bring that information back the next meeting, maybe?
Yes, thank
Please.
you, Chair Ramsey. Yeah, so we are working on that. The canteen opened just sort of, I guess, just as a trial right now. It wouldn't be open right now because we don't have the ice in, so there's a lot less service there. But we are looking at some options on what we could have in there, and we're probably going to be doing an expression of interest to see we're trying to stay along the healthy line. We've had people wanting to come in and type of thing, so we're trying to figure out what's the best option for this new facility. It does have some limitations because it's not a full-fledged kitchen with, vented and all that, so we'd have to look at that. The Wi-Fi, I know we've had addition boosters in the facility. I'm going to have to check with Mike on that to see. It's a big steel box, and it's causing some challenges. The Wi-Fi wasn't great in that area previously. So it depends on where you are in the building. That's what the uniqueness of it is. So, but yeah, I'll be reaching out to Mike. That is one of the things on our capital list as well, to try to get that improved. So next here, I'm not going to spend as much time on the next ones here, exception probably this playground equipment. It's always a high topic. So right now, the playground installation's underway. Evergreen Park, the medium structure has been constructed, is installed, and the staff are completing the finishing touches. Once they finish this one, they're moving on to Stockman Park, where there's going to be a new medium structure to be installed by the end of June, and then a 2-bay swing to be installed by July 14th at that same park. The park is just getting dated and the equipment needed to be replaced. We have Meadow Park, which is a new park, and it's going to have a new medium structure to be installed by August 11th, and then a 2-bay swing to be installed by September 8th. And we might be able to move this up and get them installed quicker, but you always never know when you get into it. You start to put the playground equipment together, and there could be a piece missing or something that you have to get ordered in. And then after that, we have another new park, which will be going out to a concept plan here very shortly for Montgomery Heights Park. And we're going to be putting in a new medium structure there with a 2-bay swing, and we'll have those installed by the middle of October. And as you've seen on our agenda there, we did the Towers Road Park. Concept plan is completed. We're locating the survey pins right now to make sure we've got the exact property location. We'll be constructing the access entrance off Confederation Trail and then cutting the grass and landscaping. So there is some other projects in that list as well. I just haven't got them all identified yet. Our budget is $300,000 initially. I think our ask was $450,000, so we're sort of having to look at which projects we feel need to move forward. And these playground equipments, which was really good about those, is that we were able to get all the equipment ordered last year, late in the year, got a good price, had the equipment here in time, so we're not waiting for the new equipment to get in. This fall, we'll be ordering some other additional new playground equipment, and then that'll be installed the following year. So it allows us to get started right away. This year was a little slow getting started because of the weather not being great in May. The Recreation Parks Master Plan, that is going to be, we're in the process, that needs to be updated, the information on that, but it's going to be moving forward. I hope to have it out by the end of June. I've started the process of doing some research, and we'll get that one out at the end of June. East Roley Lagoon, planning is underway right now. We are hiring an engineer to complete drawings for us, and then we'll be going out to tender, and then hope to get the tender awarded by the end of July and start a phased approach. We'll spend our money. First, right now, we want to do the parking area, defined parking area. The pathways are the next within that grouping. And trying to think, there was another thing as well. Oh, drainage. We want to make sure. Oftentimes, we end up putting in pathways and parking, and you don't have the proper drainage. So we just want to make sure that the drainage is good for that whole park area. E-Watch cameras, I'd happen to let you know that we are. Central one is near completed. They've got installed there. They're just waiting for a camera component to be installed, but we were able to install the one at Joe Gaze Park. That was finished by March of 2025. The J. Frank Macaulay Park, they're still working on getting Wi-Fi access, and this is a challenge in some of these areas where you're not close to certain properties, so that we're working on that. So that one should be installed in the very near future. And then we are working on identifying 2 other locations, just to confirm where we're having our problem areas. These E-Watch cameras have been extremely beneficial when we've had issues of vandalism, or we have issues where people are hanging out doing some inappropriate activities, and it allows police to get on top of it right away. The only other one I'll just mention here is the Victoria Park tennis courts right now. We are just waiting for the contractor to get back in here. We've identified some sort of surface deficiencies that they're addressing right away. Then we're going to hopefully have the finished asphalt coat done by the end of June. The fencing will be put in early July. We've got to let the courts sit for probably 3 weeks for it to cure. And we're right in the process right now. We just sent out an RFQ for the tennis resurfacing and court lining, so that will be taking place. So we're hoping to be able to start that by 3rd week in July and have it finished by the 1st to 2nd week in August. It's taken a bit longer, but it is a complete redo of the courts, and we want to make sure that the surface is perfect because the courts will be around. We don't want to do any maintenance, and they're usually, if you do it right, you can get 15 years plus out of it before you have to do any
Yeah,
maintenance.
that was my question, like, once it's all done and done properly and all that, like, how many years will we be getting out of this one? Like, are we gonna be doing it again 4 years? But
No,
you
so
said
this is a
close to
complete
15,
redone, yeah, so it's
which is
15 for a new
fantastic.
construction, and then you do maintenance on it, like you could do maintenance like after that. So for example, the 3 courts, we did some work to that prior to Canada, around Canada Games time. They've stayed really well. They're the old existing courts. They'll be next. The base has stayed amazing on those courts. So it would just be, we would probably do a resurface because there's some cracks forming, but the surface has stayed really level. These 5 courts here, because there was 2 courts added on one side, there was issues with cracking and issues with the courts heaving and whatnot. there was inconsistent material underneath the courts. That's what we found as well when we did core samples. This geotech was showing that there was some areas that were susceptible to taking a lot of water, therefore causing a lot of frost to push up the courts. And then outside of that, there'll be the other projects here. I haven't finished the updates on those, but I will be updating those very shortly, and you can read those later on. But it's a very busy time of the year, and we're trying to keep things moving forward the best we can, and we're making progress. Now that the weather is nice and clear out there, it's allowing a lot of projects to get underway. It's just everyone else is on the list trying to get projects done as well, so we're in competition. But we are moving forward.
Thank you very much for that, Manager Frank. Any questions to Manager Frank? Councillor Drong?
Yeah, thank you. Not on his report. I just have one quick question before the end of the meeting here.
Sure.
We had a concern last year at Mulberry, just where the disc golf was. There was a lot of kids running behind cars, and Frank was great. They went out and put some posts up, and that solved that problem. But now there's, we have disc golf, we have baseball, we have kids soccer, we have people in the basketball court, people in the hockey rink, people in the batting cage, and there's no place to park. They park on the street. And one of the residents said, is there any way you could, kind of fill that ditch in at the corner and get people to park facing inwards? I'm just wondering, would there ever be a possibility to look at that, Frank, and see if we can get more parking up that area? I was up there last night, and there was pretty near impossible to park anywhere. So it's great to see everybody and the whole place full, but it's just parking is at a premium.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. I'll take that under advisement kind of thing. It's one of those things. You have District Park and you want people to be there using it, and it just happens to be when you have a lot of youth activities and whatnot that there is a lot of vehicles there. But we'll look at other options. I know that we want to make sure that it's safe, so that's usually why we had to stop people from going in behind the ball field. But yeah, it's a lot of locations we have that as well. We do find that a lot of people drive, especially when you have teams from away coming for a ball game, and you have kids that are coming to the soccer that are coming from further distance as well. So, but we'd have to chat with Public Works and that, so I'll reach out to them.
That'd be great, Frank. Thank you.
Your Worship.
Frank, just quickly, I want to follow up on the J. Frank McCauley Park and E-camera. Was there concern raised by the residents? Did that go through our capital budget, or was that just an operational expense?
So it was in our capital budget last year, and we selected 3 locations that were problem areas: Central One Field, J. Frank McCauley, and Joe Giz Park. They were all areas we were having a lot of problems with inappropriate.
Equipment and the park in general?
Within the whole area, there was a lot of inappropriate activities that were happening. There was safety concerns that we were having as well. So it being another district park, and it is a park where a lot of people travel through.
Right. No, just wanted to follow up on that. Frank, I know the Sherwood Hall, Rec Hall, it's a public works, but it falls under recreation. Am I correct in saying that, or is that?
So Sherwood Rec Hall it's maintenance is done by Public Works, and they maintain it and do all the over capital. But we book it through the Parks and Recreation Departments. We do all the bookings for that. We are working right now with Public Works on an RFP.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah, so we partnered with them, and we're actually putting in the actual whole site of Sherwood Rec Hall, Cody Banks, Lawn Bowling Green, the whole property. We're looking at develop an RFP to go out to get someone to do a concept plan to look at what some of the options would be for that site.
But what about replacing the Rec Hall? That's going to be part of this concept plan?
This would be part of the whole plan. So it'll be decide, would an option be just to put a community center on this property? The rink, we're doing a building condition assessment report on the rink. So the rink, right now, we're looking at doing that this year. So we'll know, okay, what's the life expectancy of the rink can the rink be repurposed as well? Maybe it doesn't stay as a rink, maybe it becomes something, other type of indoor facility. The whole property needs to be looked at and how we efficiently use the property. There's a lot of things that are sort of squashed in. There's another location when every event is being, or the location is busy, there's insufficient parking as well, or parking can be challenging because you're next to a school. So we're looking at the whole property, and there's also that other property there that the city bought adjacent to the rec
Doucette's
hall.
house,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that one's being considered as well. So just like we did with Simmons, we did a whole site location to see how everything would fit in it. This one's a tighter site, so it's not as big a location. So it could be, that down the road, we replace Cody Banks Arena and a community center is put into that, or it could be something else. But we want to come up with options to be able to bring it back to, get public input, then bring it back to council and say, what direction would you like to move on this?
But the Simmons Aqua Arena facility was a different beast. That was replacing the facility. Sherwood, or Cody Banks, and the community center, or the rec center, whatever you want to call it, these are, and the Sherwood Bowling Greens, these are facilities within that area. The Sherwood,
Yeah.
I'll just finish.
no
The Sherwood Community Center, the rec center, that's, to me, is a standalone venue operation for the community of Sherwood and surrounding area. So
Yeah.
to make it part of the concept plan of what we're going to do with the rink or Sherwood Bowling Greens, or how we're going to incorporate it with the Sherwood Elementary Schools, playground, $500,000 playground development. To me, I thought we were just going to look at what do we want to do with this old Sherwood Rec Hall? And if we're looking at incorporating into, do we repurpose Cody Banks? So if we repurpose Cody Banks, that means we have to build a new arena.
So right now, we just need to look at options, and that's,
Oh, yeah.
so we don't want to build right now, a community center easily would cost $1 million to build.
We got $500,000 in the budget for it.
No, so that's about, it's easily, and that's the thing. So we're looking at energy efficiency away. You'll see how, and I'm not saying like Simmons or Cody Banks rink might be there for 10 years, and probably is. It looks like, there's still got good life left in it, Longbourn Green, but we don't want to all of a sudden construct $2 million community center into a spot that maybe there's future plans need to be, or if we're doing it, it needs to be placed in the right location. So we need to look at the whole site to see the layout. For example, Simmons does have a community room now, and it's a community center of space.
Yeah.
It didn't have one before,
Right.
and it's made that facility that you can go to the community center, you can go up to the walking track, you can go to the pool. So we just want to look at this. So we're working with Public Works, since they oversee the Sherwood Rec Hall. We oversee Cody Banks Arena. We oversee the lawn bowling greens. We're not saying that anything, it might be recommended, the lawn bowling greens stay where they are, Cody Banks stays where it is right now, and we look at designing a community center. So it's just, we need to come up with a good plan and a good option, and, because it's a tighter property than Simmons. Simmons, we had a lot more space to work with, so, and didn't have as many different types of use in a smaller area.
Yeah, and the reason I bring it up, Mr. Chair, because I thought we were just looking at the Sherwood Rec Center, Sherwood Community Center as one entity, but now we're looking at a bigger concept plan. I think, I like to see some timelines for going forward with this concept plan. But on the Victoria Park tennis courts, so the Atlantic Tennis Championships, we're not going to have them this year because we're closed down, correct? Christopher?
We indicated to them when they had asked that there was a possibility that those championships wouldn't happen because of the timelines for the new courts. So Tennis PEI was aware last year when we said, because we couldn't promise that the courts would be done in July, knowing that weather, contractors, timing of other contractors to come in and do line painting and things like that could bump the time frame for that.
So we have a Canada Games team that's prepping for the Canada Games, Canada Winter and Summer Games in St. John's, August. So they're looking for,
And they have court time. So Tennis PEI and CTC both have programming that they are doing at the tennis courts. And we have worked with them, our program coordinator has worked with both of those groups to give them as much court time as possible, and have also worked with them to find, say, the Queen Elizabeth Park to use for some programming and things like that. And we understand that the general public also wants to have access to those courts, so it's a bit of a balancing act with those three courts for their usage as well as for public usage. So if they are looking for more court time, we're not aware of it. Our understanding is that what they have now is what they need, but if they are looking for more,
Reach out to you guys.
yeah, they can reach out and we can discuss, but our options are pretty tight to try and balance with all users.
And Mr. Chair, just the last question. When we talk about Montgomery Heights, which is out in East Royalty, I call that the 100-acre development. So we got do we have how many planned parks for that Montgomery Heights development? It's a big development.
Yeah, so it is a huge development, and we have about 8 acres of property there. There's a woodland as part of that. The playground's going to be a part of that as well. So that's going to be for the Montgomery Heights side. There is another on the other side behind Lucy Maud School is Horseshoe.
Right.
Can't think of Horseshoe Estates, I think it is called.
Horseshoe Boulevard.
So that will be another one that we will actually we have some land there as well, so we'll be developing a different type of park on that side. We're working with the school there because they're building the new school, so we're trying to complement what the school has.
Right.
And it is still not at the point where we can develop it. Montgomery Heights now, as you're quite aware, has developed very quickly. They anticipated it was going to take 10 to 15 years. It developed in 5 years. So we're moving forward on that, and we're going out to the community here in the very near future to get surveys, to get their input and ideas, and then we'll be developing a concept plan that'll come back to the committee prior to us doing any work.
Do we have any existing parks in Montgomery Heights now? Like
No,
green
so
space
this
opens?
is our big area. We haven't been able, so this is us coming forward saying we have to get this park developed. So that's why we ordered some equipment ahead of time to have a bit. We know we're going to put a playground in there.
Right.
And then we're going to start to develop the park. It will be a phased approach as well because the woodland took a really hard hit during Hurricane Fiona.
Right. I see it there off Splendid Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for all that, Manager Frank and Assistant Manager Christopher. Where are we at here? Well, you got your seniors' engagement minutes are in there. You can read at your leisure, and your youth. They both seem to be doing very good work. Very pleased with them, the way they're meeting. Introduction of new business. Your worship, you had something, I believe?
Quickly. Again, continuing on parks. If you go down the end of Richmond Street, where Richmond converges with West Street, we have development going on there with a new property, housing project. But what lies in between two properties is a right-of-way that we own. I know some of the residents that live down there are asking, can we not make that into a parkette? I'll give you an example. Corner of Queen and Pond Street, where the coffin house was, it was torn down. So it's a little parkette. They refer to them, I think that's the term. Can we look at something like that down there, Frank? or-
So right now, I'll put this on a new business item. I have been in communication with Public Works
Yes.
because it is a public right of way.
Right.
As you indicated, there is construction going. So we're well aware of that piece
Yeah.
of property. So since it's a new business item, I don't want to be making assumptions or whatnot. We haven't done enough on it, so
No.
we will develop a report and bring it back and it's ultimately at the end of the day, it is Public Works property, so it probably should go to their department and then involve us if we want to make some kind of a
Okay,
passive area.
okay.
So it's a unique piece of property.
It is.
and-
And the other issue is that some of the grading that's going on with the properties, the existing and the new property development, is that they're grading it to the park, so any
Well,
runoff,
the right of way,
running,
through right
any
of way,
runoff will put more water into that parkette. And the other item, Frank, is a letter that we all received, I think you received it, Carla Wilde, who lives down at the Dominion Building, talking about some of the issues in the downtown. And I'm going to bring this up at a couple of committees, but it's standing committees. Public benches, which should be available for everyone to enjoy, are often unavailable to our tourists and other visitors as they are occupied for entire days by individuals and their many belongings. This further diminishes the accessibility and appeal of our shared public open spaces. So Frank, I know public benches is Public Works, Parks and Recreation. I just wanted to highlight that particular concern with Carla, and I will be bringing it up at the other standing committee levels. It's about downtown life, again, is being affected by, our marginalized population. And I'm not saying to push them out of the downtown. It's just, I think we have to look at ways of providing a more sense of safe place, public safety and security. So
Yeah, and we have to be so careful because you just can't have our staff go and say, you have to move.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that.
You gotta be careful with this
No,
stuff.
not saying that.
And we've
just-
seen it in Ottawa, your worship.
I'm just trying to work outside the silos, just to say it's a police issue only, or it's a Kevin Ramsey, Councillor Ramsey issue only. It's all of
That's
our
right.
issues, and
Yeah.
and I know
We all
you-
gotta work at
You
it,
probably
yes.
see that down at for example, some of our parks, we've taken the benches out, we've taken the picnic tables out, and neighbors are saying, well, what about us? But again, it's a balance, and Frank, you don't have to comment. I just
Wasn't
think.
planning on.
No, it's just that I think that we need to find that balance with multiple departments. This is a departmental issue. Thanks.
Thank you, your worship. Councillor Drown, do you have anything under new business?
No, nothing at all, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for doing this on a Friday afternoon. We'll get back to our regular scheduling next month, I hope.
Probably not. July, it's probably, I don't know, because it's like you said, we're the first
No,
Monday
but
of the
the
month,
regular
that's
one.
what always happens.
We usually have it on a Monday and all that, but
Yeah.
I thank everyone for being here. I need a motion for adjournment. Move by your worship, second by Councillor Drown.
Certainly,
Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you.
thank you.